Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Play Some Video Games, the only podcast with more squares than a game of Tetris. Tonight, as always, it's your host, Kevin, here, and I'm joined, as always, by Donnie. Nathan is back from his little vacation. Woohoo! And today, we welcome in Coach Mo to the team, Mo's first appearance. So, Mo, just like everybody else, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Coach Mo. And super excited just to get to be with you guys and doing this. But I've been coaching football, basketball, track, and teaching PE for a number of years. I'm an athletic director in Texas and having a blast with that. And I got into gaming my first year teaching. Just kind of I wanted to know what my kids were playing so I could connect with students that most teachers would maybe pass by. And so it's kind of become a huge hobby of mine. I have a pretty large 360 and Xbox One collection for me. But I actually got in touch with Nate through Married to the Games, and been playing games with him ever since for almost 6 months now. And he led me to this awesome place to play some video games.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you aboard. And yes, folks at home, he will be referred to always as Coach Mo.
No.
We refuse to let him change that. That's just a given. So
no, his name, henceforth, will be known as Darth Mo.
I feel like we need like a Simpsons artwork there with like a cloak with Mo.
I think I'd make a great Darth Maul, just as I'm 6'7", so I think I could be a very intimidating helper for the dark side.
Can you fly?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. Just not yet.
I'm working on it.
I've been working on my calves, so hopefully it works out.
I believe I can fly. I believe that I can touch this guy. You see me run out of that open window?
Well, see, if Coach Mo says it's leg day, then it's leg day. We're not focusing on flying today. All right, so Coach Mo, why don't you tell us your favorite video game memory?
My favorite video game memory is actually involving Black Ops 3. I showed up at the midnight at my local GameStop, and I was expecting to pick up just the standard edition. But they had gone above and beyond and got me a collector's edition with the mini fridge of the game. And they pitched in, a couple of the employees did to buy it for me. And so I kind of freaked out, and I came home and I played it. I played one match multiplayer and had a 2.5 KD and have never touched it since. So.
But more importantly, does the mini fridge work?
It does. It only holds ginger ale right now, though.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so before we jump into this week's topic, let's kind of update everybody as to what we're playing. We haven't talked about that a little bit now, and in case of Coach Mo, we haven't told anybody yet. So why don't we start this week off with Nathan? What are you playing, man?
Are you sure you want to start with me? Because I could talk about this game that I've been playing for a very, very, very long time.
Well, I think that's the point. We've had a lot of emails of people asking specifically on our opinion for this game, and I told them, all right, we're not going to answer the mailbag because I know 2 out of the 4 today are going to talk about it, so by all means, go right ahead.
So, since Tuesday, I have been playing The Division on Xbox One, and as everybody knows, I'm on a game purchasing hiatus, but as mentioned before, a mysterious benefactor gave me this game because he evidently just wanted me to play it. So, I am playing it, and it is an amazing experience. This game is... I don't know how to describe it. So, have you played Destiny?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like Destiny and Gears of War and Splinter Cell kind of had a baby.
Ooh. I like how you put that together.
Yeah. They had some chicken dinner, you know what I mean? And then they had a baby.
So little rolls in the background.
So it's really fun. The mechanics they take just a little bit to get used to, but after you play it for maybe an hour with the cover mechanics and understanding how it works, it's fluid. You get it. And the loot that you get, one thing that sets us apart from Destiny for me is that the loot matters, and it's not. In Destiny, it was always kind of this random stuff, right? It didn't really feel fulfilled and really feel accomplished getting anything, but in this game, I'm getting stuff all the time. And that is a major hook for me and a major improvement over like what they did in Destiny. So, that aside, there is a story in this game. There is actually a story.
What?
I know. So
Destiny had a story.
Oh,
Because nobody
they
else
didn't have
knew
time
it.
to tell you the story.
It hasn't unlocked
so
yet.
expensive. It's so expensive to do campaigns these days. I mean, it'll never be profitable.
So one thing, and this is another direct comparison. So in Destiny, there were these little things that would say, "Oh, you found this little thing. Here's a grimoire card. Go to the Destiny website and read about this." That's how they told a lot of their story, honestly. But that takes you out of the game, out of the experience. In Division, there's like these little cell phone files that you hear, these little audio things, and there's reenactments that there's like this hologram that forms up and shows you what happened at an event in time, and it tells you the story that happens that way. Or there's cutscenes that tell you the proper typical narrative. There's just a lot of great storytelling devices that they use, and they're all contained within the game. It doesn't take you outside of the game to go find out more. It's inside of the experience, so it doesn't take you out to go learn about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, I've played 13 hours of this game on Xbox One, and that is a lot of time for me.
Yeah.
Because typically, in a work week, I play 2, maybe 4 hours in an entire week of gaming. My major time is on the weekend. But I played 13 hours since the Tuesday midnight release. That's a lot of time for me, guys. That's a lot of time. And it has been worth every minute. I've been playing this game, enjoying it, playing with friends. You can play solo. You can play with a group of up to 3 other people, so you can have a team of 4. But when I'm playing this game, I'm having so much fun that I don't realize how much time is passing. And Starbucks has been the beneficiary of this. And so what's happened is I can't remember the last time that a game has had its hooks in me so much. Maybe I think the last game honestly was Halo 2 that had its hooks in me so much that when I was at work and when I was talking about it with other people, I just wanted to go home and play it because I couldn't wait to go back and play it and keep experiencing things. And being able to experience it with my friends is it's great, right? It's one thing to have a great single-player campaign and to be able to discuss it with somebody else. The Division gives you the opportunity to play through a great story with your friends and experience it together. And it scratches all the itches that you can have from wanting to get all the numbers of the hit points and the better weapons and better gear as you keep going up and leveling up, and the XP boosts and the tension of the Dark Zone. The Dark Zone is amazing. I went in there for the first time last night when I first hit level 11, and I was originally going to wait until I get to 15, but one of the guys I was playing with said, "Hey, let's go check it out." So I was like, "Okay, let's go see what it's all about." The Dark Zone is amazing. It's not higher level, but you should be probably at least level 6 or so before you go in there, and you want to go in with somebody. Because the Dark Zone is unique in that it's player versus environment versus player. So the environment is attacking you, but you can also be attacked by random agents who go quote-unquote rogue. And those rogue agents can attack you, and they can take all your loot that you've picked up while you're in the Dark Zone and be total jerks about it and go extract it for themselves. Because when you get loot in the Dark Zone, you have to go to these extraction points. You have to go there, send up a flare, and then 90 seconds later, a helicopter comes, and then you can put your stuff in there to be extracted because it is quote-unquote contaminated, and it has to go through this decontamination process. Huh. Anyway, those 90 seconds can be some of the most crazy 90 seconds of the game because you send up that flare, and everybody in that sector knows that there's a helicopter coming, that you sent it off. And so everybody knows that there's somebody who wants to get some loot out of there, or they just want to use your helicopter to get their extraction out too. So you see all these player people come around, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen. They could turn on you. They could try to take your loot. And in the meantime, all these NPC, these PvE enemies are coming to attack you as well. And there could be some high-level enemies that come and attack you. Like, you could get laid to waste by a group of non-player enemies.
Interesting. That's
this game, this game in a nutshell is hard to really describe. It's like the Matrix. Nobody can hold. what the Matrix is. You have to experience it yourself. And you played the beta. The beta is one thing. The beta is a taste, a foregleam, a mere muscle of what you would experience if you checked out the Division in its complete.
Huh.
And I think that's all I got to say about that for now. I mean, I can keep talking about it, but I don't want to have a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. One question, though. So some of the listeners wrote in and they asked, would you consider this game the biggest disappointment of 2016 so far? And I think in your case, definitely not. So we won't even bother going over that. But I had some questions. What's the single player like? Is it actually decent, or is it, kind of glanced over and it's focused more on the multiplayer only?
So the entire game is designed to be played either by yourself or with a crew. If you have a crew, it takes into account your level and the level of your crew and the amount of people that you have with you, and it alters the enemies as you progress on. So if you are by yourself, it'll give you enemies that you can handle by yourself. But it'll be challenging, but it'll be worthwhile. So you go through and you can experience the whole story by yourself if you like. You don't have to play with a single person, but man, the experience is way better if you do.
Cool. All right. Coach Mo, what are you playing?
I'm currently playing a couple of games. I'm playing Madden 07 on 360 for some achievements that I had missed. I'm playing Fable Legends because I was lucky enough to be invited in that beta and I was having such a good time before all that stuff went down. And then I've been playing a lot of Far Cry Primal. I did play about an hour of The Division, but I didn't get hooked the same way Nate did. And for me, it was more, when I play a shooter, I want lots of people to shoot at. And with this, there's a lot of, you running to checkpoints and going through these little mini missions and stuff like that. And for me, if I'm going to play a shooter, I normally play the multiplayer. I play the campaign solely for the achievement basis. So.
Yeah, so you're not as impressed with The Division as Nathan is then?
No, it's very good. But right now I would rather hunt down achievements than probably dive back into it.
Got to increase that gamer score.
You got it.
All right, Donnie, what are you working on?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you all? How was your week?
Good.
Yours was long.
Mine was a long week, yeah, as you guys already know. I got in, you know what, for having a long week, and as little as we've talked and whatnot, I actually got in a lot of gaming, primarily because I had to work last Saturday, and I kid you not, I played Pokemon Blue for about 8 straight hours. There was nothing going on. I just sat there on my 3DS and played and played and played and played and played. One of the funniest and most entertaining things you can do right now in the video game world is to log into Miiverse and watch people that have never played an original Pokemon game and watch them just talk and talk and talk about all the troubles they're having. I retweeted some of the posts on our official Twitter handle _PSVG, and there's people, how do I get my Pokemon to level 11? I can't keep training. This is going nowhere. And why is Metapod not affected by Gust? He's a bug. And how do I beat Brock without a water type? I can't do this. It's just like kids giving up on this game so easy.
Yeah, it's insane. I've seen a bunch of it. Oh.
It reminds me of just, not that I would even consider Pokemon a hard game. It's just a game you have to commit to. I mean, the original Pokemon wasn't hard, and anybody could beat it. You just had to put in the time. But it did make me think just how much hand-holding, if not even hand-holding, but just how much easier games are now than they were before Pokemon. I mean, you think of there are some Genesis and some SNES, and there are definitely some NES games that I just won't play. Because I know exactly how obtuse and just weird, like you need a guide to even know what you're trying to do, because none of it makes sense and all that. So I played a lot of Pokemon Blue on Saturday. And then for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been playing Twilight Princess HD. I'm currently working my way through the Fire Temple, which is I'm not quite halfway there. I think halfway is when you get the Master Sword. So I'm probably, I don't know, 40% into the game, and I've already waxed poetically about my feelings for Twilight Princess, so I'm not going to sit here and hold the podcast hostage for me to go on and on about how much I like the game. But I will just speak to the update in Twilight Princess HD. One of the things that's immediately noticeable is, I mean, obviously the graphics look better. Everything is higher resolution. Everything is more clear. It's more sharp. The analogy I often give is it's like looking at the game with glasses on. I wear glasses. For anybody that wears glasses, I think the first time you put on glasses is a very memorable moment. You start looking at, or at least for me, I started looking at trees. I was like, oh, those are what individual leaves look like. Before it was just a blur. That's kind of how I look at the original Twilight Princess. Everything was just kind of blurry, and now it's all focused. But the update also, and I'm going to make a comparison here, and don't kill me for it. I don't mean to go this far with it. But when I played The Last of Us Remastered, I noticed a lot of kind of edging and bordering. I don't know if you guys have played it, and correct me if you just didn't notice it, but with the character models, like Joel and Ellie and like the leaves and the grass, they kind of had like this thin black line around them, and it was definitely noticeable. And when you moved, like that line didn't break. Like everything, all the frames were there. Everything was solid. I've definitely noticed that similar trait with Link's character model and a lot of the environment. I made a post on Miiverse about it. This has got to be the best character model of Link that's ever been made. I mean, it is solid across the board. His shield looks great. His sword looks great. His tunic, everything. I mean, that's some high D Link right there. I mean, much more. I mean, Wind Waker is great just because of the art style. The art style is timeless. It's always going to, to look good. It looked great on GameCube, and just bringing it up to HD made it look even better. But what they did to Twilight Princess really brought that game out of history and really brought it into the new light. There's also a lot of blooming effects. There's a lot of colors I never noticed before. All the little fountains that can be found in the game. There's purples and blues and reds and yellows and just stuff you've never seen before. So I'm enjoying making my way through that game. This will be the second time I've beat it. I've played it, probably 4 or 5 times and given up on it a couple times. I've only beat it once. So I've been enjoying that. And then the other game that I've been playing is Super Mario World on my new 3DS. I am through World 4. I have beaten this game a dozen times, if not more, and I'm going to tell you, that new 3DS Pixel Perfect mode is fantastic. It's beautiful. I mean, it's pixel perfect. It's exactly what you would think. It looks exactly the way it should. I'm a little upset, though, that Nintendo doesn't make that default option. I played the first 3 or 4 levels on whatever the default option was, and then when I found that I actually had to enable Pixel Perfect mode, I was like, oh, so the first mode's just blurry. Why would you make me play the first couple levels in this blurry mess when I could be playing in Pixel Perfect mode? So for those of you out there that are thinking about getting a new 3DS, or you have one and you want to buy some SNES games, Earthbound's coming. So make sure you turn on Pixel Perfect mode. Again, Nintendo can't get out of their own way. So those are the games I've been playing. Pokemon, I'm halfway through. I'm in Viridian City, which is also a great Miiverse post. There's folks that are getting to Sabrina's gym, and they're like, where's Brock? Well, how do I get to Brock's gym? It's really good. You'd think these people would look it up on Google at this point in today's world. But I'll be playing Pokemon and Twilight Princess for a while. So that's what I've been hacking at.
Dude, you were waxing on about how good Twilight Princess looks that you brought up Link's tunic.
It looks great. I mean, just the character model. Okay, so in the defense, I will say the world, like the environment, especially like the platforms, I mean, they look like a game that was made on GameCube and Wii. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, they look detailed, but they're flat and they're edgy and that stuff. But you can definitely tell there are these moments in the environment where like leaves drape down over a wall, and that's where I make like that Last of Us impression. If you played that game, there's definitely these moments like, where you're in an apartment building and you see like growth kind of come over the wall, and then those leaves on that growth, while the wall may not have the highest resolution, the leaves look great. Like there's a lot of that going on in Twilight Princess HD. Like the wall looks barren, but like they'll have this vegetation around it that's super high res and super HD, and it looks as good as it possibly as good as I could think it could look. And then the character models are great. All the characters across the board. So it's kind of odd, to be honest with you, because you'll be staring at a cutscene and you'll see the character model and you'll be like, this looks great. And then you'll just walk up to like this blurry platform, that has like this very basic texture that feels like it's being tiled across things. You'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, this isn't a new game. This is an old game. But overall, I mean, the game looks very impressive. It's one of those things where, when that game was first shown, that Nintendo Direct, a lot of people said it didn't look HD enough. You can find a crap ton of tweets talking about how it didn't look HD enough. This game's plenty HD. I mean, it looks really good.
That's right, boys and girls. On this week's fashion Project Runway, Link's tunic looks fabulous. All right, so anyway, I guess it's my turn. So I'm still wandering around the wastelands of Fallout 4 on my PS4. I did, however, decide I'm just going to mainline the rest of the main story, finish it up prior to the DLC coming out, because I'll just keep playing this game till the end of time, most likely. So I'll put it, on the shelf for a little bit, move on to some of my backlog, which... side note, I mentioned it to some of the guys earlier, but for you listeners, I decided I'm going to leave what I play next up to you guys. So I'm going to post what I have currently in my backlog, and we'll do like a little poll or whatever, and you guys can decide what I'll be playing next, and I'll give you my opinions on it as we go along and whatnot. So yeah, still loving Fallout 4, but the problem is I'll just keep playing it forever, and I want to get to something else soon. So I want to complete the story, and I'll go back and do the extra stuff later and the DLC as it comes out. On the handhelds, I did take advantage of the free month of GameFly, courtesy of Jason. So playing Mario and Luigi Paper Jam so far on the 3DS right now. Absolutely loving it. If you've played any of the Mario and Luigi games on the portable, still feels very much at home. They're great games. They try and tie in a lot of humor similar to the Paper Mario series, so they're a lot of fun. The actual addition of Paper Mario into this one is a lot of fun. Brings up some unique combat options there. It's a little weird controlling 3 people at once. I thought it was, at times in the older games, a little bit trying controlling 2 at once. When you have to make jumps, you have to press 2 buttons. So now if you're making jumps, you have to press 3 different buttons. So it's a little weird, but there's some pretty cool like group attacks that they do, turn-based, old-school Final Fantasy style. So it's a lot of fun. I think I've only beaten like the first 2 bosses so far. So I'm plugging away at that, but having a lot of fun. For those of you who have a Nintendo 3DS looking for something to play, I definitely recommend it. So far, so good. So that's all I've been working on. So
that intro hurt me on Paper Mario, the last one.
The original one?
The new one. Sorry, Luigi. Was it Luigi Mario Paper Jam? Mario.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing now.
I'm a huge Luigi fan, and they continue to drag him to the mud. And so I bought it, and I was so excited to play. And then the intro, I just closed the 3DS. Set it down, threw my hands in the air, and was like, "Why, Nintendo? Why must you hurt me?"
It's the running gag for all the Mario and Luigi games. They always make Luigi the fall guy for most of it. So it's just continuing the trend. I'm sure they'll do it again in Paper Mario on the Wii U coming up too. But I agree, Luigi doesn't get his fair share. However, I freaking love the Luigi's Mansion game, so that's his shining star right there. So those are a lot of fun. But so we'll move on to the topic of the week, gentlemen, and we're going to discuss our most anticipated games of 2016. So for those of you listening at home, you might want to know, like, well, hey, what's Jason's top 10 anticipated games? What does Kyle want to play? What does Jake want to play? Plan is we will post after the show comes out a list of all of our maybe top 10 for the year, so you can kind of see what we're all jonesing for and see if there's any similarities on our lists. We haven't shown each other our lists yet, so it'll be interesting, I think, for all of us to see. So we'll take some time to talk, maybe 1 or 2 choices and kind of talk about why we're looking forward to it. So, Donnie, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, you would so start with me.
Of course.
All right, so let me see here. I've got a list. I want to talk about them all. So I can't. I have to pick a couple. So here, okay. Well, then we'll get the easy ones out of the way.
Yeah, pick one, and we'll do round robin. We'll go around. So
okay. I'm not going to pick a Wii U game. The obvious
What?
The Wii U choices are obvious. I want to play Zelda U. I want to play Paper Mario. That's easy. So we'll get those out of the way. Those are on my list.
This just in, Donnie abducted.
There is a game that exists that I want to play. It is coming to Xbox One as a console exclusive. It is coming to PC. I plan on playing it on PC. If my PC will not run it, I will have a strong urge to buy an Xbox One. I don't know if I'll give into it. Nathan,
Can I guess?
you heard our podcast last week.
Into your anger.
If you heard our podcast last week, I was almost willing to buy one, and then they announced all these games coming back to PC, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to sit here pretty. This game, you want to guess?
Yeah. Is it Gears of War 4?
It's not. No, not at all. I do love Gears, so don't take that. But no, Gears of War,
not at all. No,
yeah, Gears of War 4 is not doing it for me at all. I'd rather be
Defeat.
playing Gears. Anybody else?
Look at my list.
Just knowing my gaming habits.
An Xbox One.
Now, I'll tell you this. I'll give you a hint. My wife saw the trailer and she's like, "That's right down your alley."
Well, they don't have Legend of Zelda on Xbox, so.
No, they do not.
Rare's Sea of Thieves.
No.
Ooh.
Good guess.
That was a solid guess.
Anybody else? No.
No.
I really, really, really look forward to playing We Happy Few.
That was on my list, too.
All right.
Oh.
This is a BioShock art style, kind of meets a cel-shaded first-person survival horror game. And when I say survival horror, I don't mean Resident Evil Kick-Ass. I mean survival horror like Don't Starve from a first-person perspective. I do not know everything about the game. To be honest with you, I don't think there's many preview articles out there. I saw the trailer. I saw the E3. I read an article on Polygon a while ago. I'm not sure how long ago. That kind of gave me some of the details and some of the story. I don't know if that game's be good or not, but let's just say I saw it and I was like, that's right down my alley. It's very British. Kind of has this Sherlock Holmes kind of vibe to it, this London era. Like I said, it's very BioShock. Everybody's very cel-shaded animation. It's very purple and bright pinks and stuff. So I fell in love with the art style, to be honest. At first glance, I was like, wow, that's a pretty game, and I want to know more. And then when it gets into the survival horror aspects, for all the action and adventure stuff that you guys know me for and some of the platforming, I love survival horror games. I always have. I love horror games in general. I love being scared. I love horror movies. I watch all horror movies. My friend makes fun of me. He's like, you're the only person that goes to movies to see terrible horror movies. So I'm very excited about that game. And again, if my PC can't run it, I'm going to be very sad. I'll either buy a new PC or I'll buy an Xbox One.
Come on, be sensible. Get an Xbox One.
I say an Xbox One at this point would be cheaper than a new PC that could probably run it, so I'd say go with the Xbox.
I mean,
Upgrade.
it would even be cheaper than getting a graphics card.
That's true.
We'll see. So that's my first one.
All right, Coach Mo, what's one from your list?
I can't decide if I want to go from the top list or the bottom, so I'm going to go right dab in the middle.
There you go.
I'm really nervous about this one because everyone else who played the beta with me did not like it.
I know what it is.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the new Homefront. It's one of those games when it came out on the 360. The first one I absolutely loved. The campaign. It was the first campaign on a shooter I played that I actually was head over heels for. It was super short, but really I just loved the characters. I loved the world. I loved the things you were fighting for. It had the grittiness of Last of Us in a world with more weapons, basically, in my book. But the multiplayer was incredible. And so when I heard there was a Homefront 2, I was like head over heels, like, let's go. I can't wait for these epic battles, these awesome... what they were doing with vehicles and tech in Homefront is better than anything that they did in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare or Call of Duty Ghosts. And I was so excited for what they're going to do. The beta was very rough for some people. However, I had a blast playing it and really, really enjoyed every taste that I got. So
I also loved the original, and that also made my list. I think I loved Homefront. I never played multiplayer. I just played the campaign, and I would buy a Homefront 2 that had a 60-hour campaign for $60 as well.
I really wanted to like that game. The setting is phenomenal. I love the what they're doing. The concepts that they have were really cool. But man, when I played that beta, the mechanics were just too janky. It just did not work for me. But I mean, again, that was a beta, so I can't judge a book by the cover. I would have to rent it.
I haven't played the beta, so has it changed, Mo? By my recollection, this was like a Call of Duty clone. The mechanics were Call of Duty.
The mechanics were very similar for me, but I think it's only because I recently replayed Homefront because I was trying to get some achievements that I'd missed. And so it just felt like a natural transition. I think the biggest changes that I felt were going to be more the weapons they weren't as clean. Like you were firing rounds that weren't hitting marks the way you feel in Destiny or you felt even now in the Division. Like the shooting wasn't as good, and I think that's part of what maybe Nate was experiencing was those were the glitches that a lot of people were having problems with. Again, I didn't get that issue, so I must have just gotten lucky, or maybe my infatuation with the game made my eyes go, I totally hit that guy. I'm not even going to worry about it. So, I don't know. But I really, really loved it and had a blast. So,
excellent. All right, Nathan, pick one from your list.
So I could easily pick an Xbox exclusive from my list. And in fact, I will pull a Donnie and pull a Wii U game on my list.
Wow.
The sky is falling!
So there is one franchise that Nintendo has that I just love and I always root for, and I really want it to be good, but I have my doubts, but I really just want it to be good and great, and that is Star Fox.
Yes!
Barrel roll!
It will be good, Nathan.
I'm hoping so. Like I will trust your assessment more than my own because you're more into the ecosystem. You honestly know more than I do about Star Fox. But ever since I played Star Fox on the Super Nintendo and the N64, like those are my favorite. Some of my favorite flight games. They're just fun. They're simple. They're infinitely replayable. And as you got onto the Star Fox Adventures, I played it, but I was like, this isn't what I want.
Yeah.
And there's just so many times where I felt like it was time for a good return to form for Star Fox, and it just never came. And I think now I'm hoping this is the game that I've been waiting for.
I mean, personally, I think it definitely is. It looks like this is stayed a lot truer to what made the series great with the Super Nintendo version and then Star Fox 64. It's exactly what the gamers want, and let's be honest, I think it's probably one of the things Nintendo does absolutely right, is they give people what they want, even if it's the same thing over and over again, they'll do it. To me, I have no qualms about this game at all. The only thing that I kind of raise an eyebrow to is the whole chicken walker mode of the R-Wing. I'm not crazy about that so far. I'll, have a better judgment on that once I actually get to play it. But to me, that seemed like something I don't feel it needed, but they obviously wanted to give some sort of new twist to it. So that's my take on it, at least. Donnie, it sounded like this was on your list too, was it?
It was absolutely on my list. Now, here's the thing with Star Fox Zero. The people that have played it, the people that I follow, and the people that I would trust, the people that played it and actually put time into it and not just a demo, not just one sitting, but they put a lot of time into it, they got used to the controls. One thing that we didn't mention that I made a reference to on our Nintendo Direct bonus podcast was I felt like they were doubling down on the motion controls and they wouldn't change it. That turned out to be true. Nintendo did confirm that this thing is going to have motion controls, that the gyro with the gamepad is a part of the game and you cannot turn it off. You're going to have to play it that way. And
that just scares me.
I can understand every gamer across the world saw that and they're, oh my god, I don't want that.
Just let me use my Pro Controller, guys.
In their defense, that is the optimum way to play Splatoon, and that's not debatable. If they can pull that off, which they already have, this game will be fine. the people that, like, again, the people that I trust, the people that have played it and put more than just 15 minutes into it, they said they got used to the controls and it wasn't a big deal. That said, if you're going to buy Star Fox Zero day one, you have to know what you're getting into. It's like, it's exactly what I said with the Assassin's Creed movie. If you're going in there expecting Game of the Year expectations, I'm pretty sure you're going to be let down.
And you're probably on drugs.
Exactly. If you want a Star Fox game that replicates what Star Fox 64 did, and you want a 4 to 6 hour campaign that has a lot of collectibles that you can't get through on the first run, that has a lot of second and hidden pathways that you won't find your first time through. If you want to find something you can replay and replay and replay and beat your friends' scores and keep playing and have a bunch of fun flying a spaceship, blowing up stuff, being a fox, hanging out with your friend Toad, I mean, you're going to have a blast. And if that's what you want, Nathan, if you want that Star Fox experience, Wii U's going to give it to you. You're going to get that with Star Fox Zero. I'm very excited. I pre-ordered it after the Direct.
What I want is a game that lets me press Z or R twice to do a barrel roll, not do some crazy hand motion.
Oh, no. So the motion is literally just for aiming. Everything else is button command. So you'll point your gamepad where you want, in addition to the sticks, and then everything else is a button command.
I don't trust it. I think Slippy engineered this game.
Well, Slippy's getting his own game.
Yeah, with his creepy uncle. What was his uncle's name? Grippy or something?
I don't know. Slippy's
something that rhymed with it. I'm pretty sure it was Grippy, is what they said. I was like, that sounds like a handsy uncle, which nobody likes a handsy uncle. Let's be honest.
Hey, go. Okay, next.
Slippy and Grippy's Fight Night 2015.
All right, so I'll go next. 3 of the titles already mentioned are on my list. So Donnie brought up, briefly, Legend of Zelda Wii U and Paper Mario. Those are no-duhs for Nintendo fans. Star Fox also on my list. So I will go with one that I've been really, really excited about since E3. It was kind of announced, and everyone had no idea what this was. But universally, I think everybody was like, holy crap, I can't wait to see what this is or learn more about it. And that is Horizon Zero Dawn.
It's on my list.
Yep.
Pardon me while I go sleep for a couple minutes.
You Xbox people. Just jealous because it's an exclusive. Anyway.
No, I have a PlayStation. I don't have any interest in this game.
You don't have any interest in PlayStation.
Not true. Uncharted is on my list.
Yeah, that's on everyone's list too. I opted not to mention that one.
I know, me too.
So, for those of you who've been living in a cave and don't know what Horizon Zero Dawn is, it is this crazy-looking game that, just by watching trailers, it can probably be best described as, Far Cry mixed with Turok Dinosaur Hunter, and, the dinosaurs are half robotic, too. So, it looks beautiful from gameplay. The story seems to be very intriguing. The whole dynamic of these massive monsters in this big open world looks insane. They haven't given a release date for it as of yet. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about it at this year's E3. I'm sure it'll be like one of the headlining titles Sony's going to be pushing. So just really excited to see more about it overall. So if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check out some trailers. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. It is a Sony PlayStation exclusive. So that is probably the biggest one on my list, I think. So, since we all went, let's go back to Donnie. Let's give us another one.
Before I give you my next one, I do want to ask you, am I the only one, and I'm excited about this because of this fact, but am I the only one that thinks that Horizon Zero Dawn is a Xenoblade ripoff?
It does look similar.
It's like a better HD version of Xenoblade X.
Yeah.
I played that game. I put 30 hours in that game. Unfortunately, I had to move on. I wonder if I'll ever get back to it. But when I saw Horizon, I was like, that looks exactly like Horizon, or like Xenoblade. I've played this game. But that also made my list. I've got 2 games that I want to mention now. Let's see here. All right, since all the previews are hitting this week and it's coming out sooner rather than later, I'm going to go with Ratchet and Clank. The PS4 reimagined game of the original. It's not a remake, but it is somewhat the original with all new stuff. I saw 4 Let's Plays this week. If you are interested in a 3D action and adventure game that you can play with your children on a PlayStation 4, then Sony has you covered with Ratchet and Clank. and that is one of the prettiest games I've seen in quite some time. I saw Greg and Colin play it, or Greg and Tim on Kinda Funny Games on Twitch. I saw IGN and Polygon and GameSpot all live stream it on their YouTube channel as well. So you can go see this game. It looks really good. Kind of reminds me of Knack. It's like a really refined version of Knack. I played a little bit of Knack. There is kind of a blow up the box, collect all these little parts that kind of go together. You don't grow with them like Knack does, but you can kind of see some of the same mechanics.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, inspired by it, hands down.
Yeah, you definitely can see, like, it looks like at least some of the assets were borrowed. But the fire and the explosions look great. There is a lot of enemies going on in this game, or at least in the sections that I saw. Maybe, the whole game's not there, but compared to the Ratchet & Clank that I remember, you're going to be doing a lot more button mashing in this game than those, which I think is an upgrade for that game. That game was real big on collectibles when it first came out. You kind of just jump from platform to platform. So kind of livening that up a bit, I think, is great. Again, as we've mentioned in the past with our co-op topic question that we had, PlayStation needs these games. Like, there is definitely a void, I think, on most next-gen platforms not named Wii U for games like this, games you can play multiplayer, games your kids can play, and not just games that your kids can play, games that your kids want to play. I let my kids come down and see it, and they literally looked at me and said, "Dad, we want to play that game." And that's great because your dad also wants to play that game. So we're all in unison, and I'll be getting Ratchet & Clank. I believe that game comes... I did not look up the release date for my notes. I want to say I believe it comes out before May. I think it comes out before E3.
It's either April or May. I was looking at a full release list. Yeah.
So, I'm excited for Ratchet & Clank.
Cool. All right, Mo, give us another one from your list, bud.
This is my number one, and I know I'm spoiling it, but it feels right to talk about because I don't know if it's on anybody else's yet, but it's the return of Adam Jensen in Deus Ex: Mankind Divided.
Thank you for bringing this one up because I really was torn on which one to do between this one and another one.
This is, again, one of those ones. This would have probably been the third game I played that wasn't a sports game on a console in my life. And I played this one from start to finish, loved every mission when I played Deus Ex Human Revolution. And so the return of Adam Jensen with this new storyline, as you watch the videos, you can go on, I think they're on YouTube still, you can watch these trailers, and this is a villain that I actually find myself loving to hate, the way that I love to hate Handsome Jack in Borderlands 2. And just something I'm really, really excited about is the return to that world where it's this huge, beautiful city that you can dive into, the sewers, the buildings, break into police stations to get information on cases. It's all of those things boiled into this beautiful, beautiful stew that I cannot wait to dive in and enjoy.
Awesome. Nathan, you got anything else to contribute to that? You were pretty excited that you brought that up.
This game I have been looking forward to for a while, and I'm a little worried, honestly, by Square Enix, just their ability to properly deliver a game, right? But this game, I've been excited since they announced it because I loved Human Revolution, which was the last one in the series, and that was honestly my first experience in the Deus Ex world. Was that yours as well?
Sure was. Yeah.
Okay.
It was. Yeah, I played it on Wii U. I think it's I actually think it's the best port that came to Wii U. That game was fantastic. Whatever third-party developer ported that over, that game on Wii U is really good.
Real quick with that. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mo.
I bought that just so I could dive into it because I thought, can you play it just on the gamepad?
You can, but I wouldn't advise it because the gamepad has all the upgrades. I'm not sure whatever they call them, like with all the biometric suit and all that. It's all mapped to your game as you play it. Plus the map is mapped, so you can switch between tabs and you can see your map. So you can kind of see all of the different routes and ways that you can attack the situation, which I really enjoyed. That is hands down one of the better uses of the gamepad, especially in the Wii U's, I believe, first 2 years of life. You can get that game on Amazon for like $6. Mm-hmm. If you have a Wii U and you haven't played it, it's worth it. That is a really good game, and it's really good on Wii U. I didn't play it on the other one, so I don't want to speak down to those. But on Wii U, with the gamepad, it's really good.
Did it include the Missing Link DLC in that?
That I don't know. I did not finish it. I played it for 10 to 15 hours before I moved on to something else.
Okay.
I think it's really interesting that out of the four of us, I'm the only one to play the older games in the series, and I actually played the original one on the PC. And I actually wasn't as impressed with Human Revolution. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but I thought the prior installments actually were much better, so it's kind of weird.
What'd you play it on, Kevin?
The PC. Oh, would I play the new one? On PS3.
Gotcha.
That's your problem. You should have played it on Xbox.
Yeah, it would have been tough considering I didn't have one. But actually, no, I did have one for a little bit, so maybe.
That, by the way, Human Revolution is backwards compatible on Xbox One. So if you wanted to play the previous entry in the series, you can do so. If you have an Xbox One, you can get that from the Xbox Game Store or put a disc in there and play it.
So...
You gonna skip me? Is that how it is?
Oh wait, no, that's right. Yes, you were adding to.
Are we starting a fight here? Is that what's going on?
Tony versus Microsoft. Shots fired.
You took too many
Halo, Gears, Halo.
Hey, no, you got to give Nathan credit. He didn't bring up an Xbox game in his life.
Yeah,
Donnie. That's true. We're see. Here's the thing. We both came with the same strategy. We're like, hey, I'll show these people.
Well, see, that's okay because now I'm going to turn it over to him, and he is going to name an Xbox game. So go ahead, Nathan. I apologize.
I need to name an Xbox game because this is my most anticipated game of this year, and it's been my most anticipated game of the console since it was announced, and that is Quantum Break.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have not seen the launch trailer, which they released, I think it was either today or yesterday, watch that launch trailer. This is an interesting take on telling a story. This is gameplay that looks phenomenal. The game itself looks excellent, but it's also paired with the storytelling of a television-type show that you watch in between acts of the game, and just the way that this is going to unfold is so intriguing to me. Then the story looks great too, and the time travel aspects. I love good time travel. Like, good time travel stories are always really well done, right? If it's not a good time travel story, it's just never going to work. Like Time Splitters, right? That wasn't time travel. That was traveling in time.
Time Splitters, wow.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This one, you can actually just stop time, and it just the implications of what you can do and the mechanics make this game so amazingly looking for a brand new IP. And this is coming from Remedy, who made the Alan Wake games. And I do know that there's a promotion. If you pre-order it on Xbox One, you get the Alan Wake game with the 2 DLC packs, as well as Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and you get a Windows 10 code for the game as well. So if you pre-order on Xbox One, you get all that extra stuff with it. So this game, it looks amazing, and I really want to play it and experience the story and the storytelling method because I think this could be revolutionary.
I have to agree. So these are one of the titles that I am envious as a non-Xbox owner of, because I think this game looks fantastic, and I think the addition of the Alan Wake stuff is a great add-on too, because that was one of the few games I had played all the way through when I had an Xbox 360, and I thought it was fantastic. So I'm all for it. I am jealous that I won't get to play it, but so yeah, I don't doubt for a second that should definitely be on the list.
And it is available on Windows 10, but you've got to have a good graphics card and stuff to run it.
Oh yeah. All right. If nobody else has anything, then I'll go now.
No one else has anything else to say about Quantum Break? Come on, guys. It's like the best-looking game of the year.
Nathan, I have absolutely nothing to say about Quantum Break.
Oh, Donnie.
And I've been doing the ostrich in the sand. I'm not looking at anything. I just want to pick it up at midnight and start playing it.
I wish I could do that. I really want this. I'm speechless.
It's been really, really hard for me to do, but so far if I see the word quantum, I just stop reading. So it could be quantum mechanics. I don't know, but I stop.
Or it could be quantum leap. Ruining it.
So just like Coach Mo, if I see the words Quantum Break, I just kind of stop reading. There's.
Oh, so much hate.
It's not hate. It just, as I mentioned before, And it's nothing against Xbox. I'll have you know, I've bought 2 Xbox Ones. I just don't currently own either one of those. And Quantum Break it never hooked me. Like that. It's not that I think that game is going to be bad. I actually kind of like the premise of it. It just didn't hook me. And I've got 10 games on my list that I will buy and play, and it's just not one of them. It doesn't mean I think the game is going to be bad. It's just I'm just not interested.
All I heard was Donnie says it's going to be bad.
Donnie, let me ask you a question. If this was coming to Wii U, would you?
No. So I, as I've said before, I have a PS4, I have 2 360s, a Wii U, a 3DS. I had a Vita until last week. I am not a platform savant. We Happy Few, again, if I can't run that on my PC, Nathan, I'm probably going to buy an Xbox One again just to play that game, and I'll probably sell it when I'm done with it.
No!
I bought Halo, the Master Chief Collection, because I wanted to play it. And then there was nothing really left for me to play, nothing that got me hooked or anything, so I sold the console that I didn't need. I'm not opposed to moving my hardware if I'm not particularly invested into it, if I feel the need to. If that game was coming to Wii U, I mean, to be honest with you, I probably still wouldn't be interested. It's just not my cup of tea.
What if there was Mario DLC where you looked like Mario when you ran around?
So Bayonetta did that, and I did buy Bayonetta, but I've yet to still play Bayonetta. So.
Now, more importantly, what if it was cell-shaded and the main character's tunic
now
was fabulous?
We're talking. Now Kevin gets me. Kevin's like, I can sell it to Donnie. Now we're talking.
There you go, Microsoft. Pick me up. There you go. Give me a free Xbox One, and I'll play it. See. All right. So let's see. Let's look at my list here. There's a lot of ones that kind of everybody I think has them on their list, but I'm debating between 2 here, and it's funny because neither of these there is any information out other than the fact that they were announced. So I'm gonna go with the untitled Batman Telltale game.
That was on my list too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be out, I think, the fall of this year, from what I understand.
Nope, not No. I think it is expected to be. Oh, okay. I'm just going out on a limb and saying, not happening.
The first episode will be out by the end of the year, but yeah.
Yeah, I am a huge Batman fan, so kind of no matter what they put Batman on, it's like printing money for them because I'll buy it. Loved Arkham Knight, despite some criticism by some people. I thought it was amazing. But I've also been a huge fan of Telltale games. Played Walking Dead Season 1 and 2. Absolutely loved The Wolf Among Us. Thought that was a great series. So I'm really excited to see their take on Batman. I'm sure it's going to be dark and gritty like all of their other games, no doubt. So that's on my list, assuming at least Episode 1 comes out. Even though they have literally said nothing other than, hey, we're working on a Batman game. That was enough to get it on my list. So
you know what would slam dunk this game is if they announced Kevin Conroy as voicing Batman.
He has to be. I cannot stand when anybody else voices Batman, to be honest. I've watched most of the animated movies and stuff like that. It takes me right out of it when he's not the voice of it. It really does.
I agree completely.
You're all wrong.
What?
Best Batman ever.
Who?
Christian Bale. Is that his name?
Oh, Michael God. Keaton. What's wrong with you? Keaton.
Yeah. Christian Bale, if Christian Bale was doing it, you wouldn't be able to understand. You'd have to turn your subtitles on. You would have no clue what's going on.
I disagree with you. Adam West.
Yeah, Adam West would be interesting. That should be DLC for it.
Yes.
Michael Keaton. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
So see, that turned in from not a debate about if the game's gonna be any good. It's about who should voice Batman.
Well, you notice George Clooney and Val Kilmer were not mentioned.
All right,
Tune in next week to the PSVG podcast where we debate who's the best Batman.
I think we should do that right now. Throw down.
There's only one answer. It's Christian Bale. It's always going to be Christian Bale.
It's never going to be Christian Bale.
No.
Oh, my goodness. The gravel voice? And he got Anne Hathaway? Winner!
Like 5'8".
Excuse me. As somebody who could eat a person who's 5'8", I take offense to that.
Again, why Christian Bale cannot be Batman.
I realize I'm almost an entire foot taller than him. Sorry.
I don't know if he's 5'8" or not. He just looks 5'8".
It's not who I am, but what I do defines me.
Oh my god.
Best Batman ever!
No, just no. All right, so anyway, I think that should wrap up our segment on...
Oh! Can I do an honorable mention? I need to do an honorable mention.
I thought you said we were going to do lightning rounds for things that weren't mentioned.
All right, so really quick, everybody else name, let's say, 2 off your list. Donnie, go.
All right, the 2 that I have on my list that I did not mention, one is coming out immediately, and that's Doom. I'm very excited, Doom. I've been playing Twilight Princess and Uncharted for like the last 7 months, and I just want to blow up some shit. And I'm excited to play Doom. I fell in love with that game when they showed it. That game looks great. I want to play and shoot a bunch of stuff, and I want to blow up a bunch of alien monster-looking creatures. So Doom made my list. I've got other games that made my list that I don't think would be mentioned, but I want to give an indie some love, and that's Rive. Rive is a game. It's a multi-platform game. It's coming to Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, whatever. If you own a console, you're probably going to be able to play this game. It's from Two Tribes, who announced this week that they will be retiring the studio after this game is released. These are this studio is the Takitori studio, and I played Rive as a part of Nintendo's Nindy program that they ran during last year's E3, where you basically got beta access to about 10 games, and you still, if you joined, you still have access to those 10 games. You can basically play the first level in those games as much as you want. Rive is an arcadey, I'd like to call it a beat 'em up, but it's an arcadey twin stick shooter type of platformer thing. I love Resogun. It's the reason why I bought a PS4, to be 100% honest with you. And this game has a lot of Resogun in it, in addition to platforming, basic puzzle solving with the twin stick shooting stuff. It looks great, plays great. I said I already beta tested it. I'm very excited to play Rive. So that was the other one on my list.
All right, Mo, give us 2 more from yours real quick.
Madden 17, and then whatever Forza comes out.
Fair enough. Nathan, give us 2 more.
Okay, Cuphead. I have to say Cuphead. That game looks phenomenal.
It's on my list.
Yeah, that game looks really great. I know that there's no definitive date on when it's coming out. It may not be this year, but it looks great, and I just want to make sure that that was mentioned. And because I've been watching this game for years, 8 years, I think, of development.
Oh, no.
Finally coming out, Final Fantasy 15.
Hey. I would love to say Kingdom Hearts 3, but that's not announced for this year.
That's never even coming out, is it?
Oh, it is. They've shown gameplay. It exists. All right, so I will go with one that's kind of out there along the same lines as Batman, where it's been nothing but announced, but it has been said it will be out fall of this year, and that is Outlast 2. So I had a blast with the first one on PS4 when it first came out. It was one of those games that scared the crap out of people, so it was a lot of fun watching that. I thought it gave a good, not twist to survival horror, but kind of a reimagining and bring it back to the way it should be, where it's more about actually surviving as opposed to going in guns blazing. So I'm interested to see what the group who developed the first one do with this one. I think they'll have to step the game up even more, and they said they really just want to mess with people's emotions in this one. So a lot to be interested to see what they do. And then almost everything else on my list has already been mentioned by somebody, so I'll throw this one out here too, because Nintendo has me hooked on this one. Not sure how and why, but all of a sudden I feel the fever, and that's Pokemon fever. So I put Pokemon Sun and Moon on my list as well. They haven't shown anything other than the logos, but I can pretty much guarantee I'll be picking it up. I want to get back into Pokemon really bad. I would love to have the wife play Pokemon again too, so I have a feeling we will be picking that up as well. So I'm excited to see the new additions, what Nintendo does with that. So like I said, everyone listening at home, I hope to get everybody's top 10 list. We'll post it up on the site so you can kind of check it out and give us your opinions. Tell us what's on your list if it's not on ours too. We'd love to get some more feedback on that on the site. Some comments rolling. So without further ado, then I think it's time to jump into some news. So let's go in reverse order this time. Nathan, why don't you give us a news topic?
In line with what I've been playing this week, The Division, it was announced that Ubisoft had the most successful single day launch ever with The Division. So they didn't announce any numbers, so they could just be saying this just to say it.
It was the best game to ever launch on Xbox One that we've ever had ever.
This month.
In 2017. So it was interesting that they just said that and didn't have any numbers to back it up. I mean, I'm a numbers guy. I like to see numbers just to see trends and things, but you can't just come out and make that statement and not say these are the numbers. I mean, if it's successful and you want to celebrate the success, show us the numbers. Seriously. Anyway, that was my one news item I was going to bring out for the Division tie-in.
See, I think I'm totally with you. Like, I'd love to see the actual numbers, and honestly, I'm a little surprised that this is their best, fastest selling one ever. I don't have any doubts that this is going to be a fantastic game and it's going to sell gangbusters, but I'm really surprised when you have other titles, coming out of there, the Assassin's Creeds, the Far Cry games, and this caught me off guard, to be honest. But I'm also wondering too is if they don't have the concrete numbers for what was sold versus what was shipped. And I think a lot of publishers lately are like, oh, we sold, 100,000 units in the first week. Well, it's like, no, you sold 100,000 units to like Target and Walmart and GameStop. That's not actually what the consumers bought. So I have a feeling that the numbers as far as units sold versus units sold to the retail outlets might differ a little bit. I think a lot of people that maybe didn't play the beta or were a little hesitant about the beta and how it ran might be waiting to see the reviews. I'm one of those people, like, I definitely think I want to get into this game, but I kind of want to see what everyone else thought about it first because I was a little hesitant. So I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers don't end up being what they think it is, and that might be why they're not saying it, because they don't have the concrete evidence and they don't want to get caught, with their foot in their mouth on it. But that's just me.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting too that I've noticed when I've played with people on the Xbox Division is that I'll ask them what they got, whether they got the gold version, which has the DLC and everything, like, the $100 version that has all the stuff with it, or just the basic version. And most people have actually said that they got the gold edition,
really,
with all the stuff with it, like, off the bat, which is interesting because, I mean, this is a new IP. It wasn't really known what you would experience, like, unless you were completely sold on the beta. To go ahead and get the gold version is quite a leap.
Yeah, that is surprising. I mean, yeah, they've been talking about the game for like 6 years, but you didn't really get a hands-on much time to sit there and drop 100 on a new IP per se. Huh. All right, Mo, what do you got?
First one is saying goodbye to Lion's Head. As somebody who was lucky enough to have gotten to be in the beta for Fable Legends, I've been playing that and kind of looking up some of the hype because I was really just enjoying what I had. But now with this setup of Lion's Head going under and Fable Legends presumably being canceled, that just kind of, it broke my heart because I really loved Fable 2, really loved Fable 3, and I was kind of excited to see what the next step was going to be on these new, bigger, more powerful systems we have.
Yeah, it's definitely sad to see them go because this was another title that I was always envious of the Xbox tried having was the Fable series. On the plus side, and a little add-on to your story, I made jokes early on when this first broke that hopefully Sony would scoop up the studio and kind of steal the franchise. And it seems weird that even if Microsoft did decide to close that division, that they would let a franchise of theirs die. That just seems a little weird. But both Sony and EA and I believe Square Enix all said that they're open to trying to help those people find jobs with them. So it ought to be interesting to see where these people land and maybe, if they're given the chance to kind of develop something from scratch for these new publishers.
Contrary to popular belief, last console cycle I was an Xbox guy. And I was an Xbox guy because I love Fable. Fable got me in. I played Fable 2. I beat it. I beat it twice. I played Fable 3. I beat it. I played Fable Anniversary. Fable is my game, and I mean that's obvious. I love Zelda games and games like that, and Fable's right in that mold. It's a little different flavor, but it's that same style of game. Those are games I love. That said, I'm really glad this game was canceled. I thought they were doing a disservice to Fable with this Fable multiplayer and second screen experience tablet thing. I never was on board with this. It seemed like a cop-out. So I'm glad that the game was canceled, but Lionhead closing is obviously sad. I don't think Fable's going anywhere. I don't know. I haven't read into the license of the franchise and whatnot. I think Xbox will continue to try and own that IP, and though I think we'll see Fable resurface at some point. I think it might be a long some point, but I still think Xbox will try to hold on to that as a brand. But if that game could ever go multi-platform, I'd be super ecstatic. Or if it ever became, another console exclusive elsewhere. Nathan, if there was a game to get me to buy an Xbox One and keep it, it would be a Fable game. If they came out and said Fable 4 and here's a legit Fable game, that game would have me, and I would buy one today.
See, all I heard from that was Donnie saying Fable Legends didn't have enough tunics. That's
Fable 2 and
They actually had a lot of tunics. It's a little uncomfortable, the tunic level that they rocked. But
clearly they weren't as fabulous as they were in Twilight Princess, though.
Well,
so.
no one ever can make them more fabulous than that. I mean, did you see the shading?
I just want to add, Fable 2 and Fable 3 are on Xbox One backwards compatibility, Donnie.
Well, I have them on 360 and PC.
Just go ahead and sell your 360 and we got you
them.
covered on Xbox One.
But why? I have all these other games on 360 that aren't backwards compatible, like NCAA football. How can I play as the Ohio State Buckeyes on Xbox One? I can't.
Ooh,
I miss that franchise a lot.
Thank you, Coach Mo. Thank you, Coach. There's a big reason why I keep my 360s around. One, they're the best streaming device I have discovered to date. Two, I can play NCAA football on my 360s, and that's why I keep them. I can't play NCAA football and anything else, so I have no reason to upgrade. You're like, hey, Donnie, you can play all these games you love that you currently can play right now on this other thing. It's like, well, I can already play those things.
Ooh. Those be fighting words.
Didn't you like Ori? Was that you?
I love Ori and the Blind Forest.
So the definitive edition just came out, Donnie.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard or not, but come on back and check it out.
Yeah, it's on Steam, I think. So.
I hope it isn't. I hope it's only on Xbox One, and you have to come and get it.
I got Windows 10. So.
I was say, Nathan, we all know nothing is exclusive to Xbox One anymore. It's at least exclusive to PC as well.
My tears are exclusive to Xbox One.
Episode title right there. My tears are exclusive.
It's not going to be about Zelda tunics?
I can't wait to write the show notes on this one. All right, Donnie, what do you got going on for news?
All right. I got to open my phone's locked, so I'm going to open it back up. Let's see here. I've got two things for news articles. I'll start the first one. It's news, but it's not concrete news yet. The Game Trailers crew have made an announcement that they will make an announcement on March 21st, which is a Monday. So not this upcoming Monday, this weekend, but the next Monday. I have followed the Game Trailers crew for ever, as long as I can think of me being even interested in what others have to think about video games. I've known Brandon Jones, and I have went to GameTrailers.com. And for those of you that also went to GameTrailers.com, you'd be nice to know that they were shut down approximately 3 weeks ago. They did not go out and find other jobs. Kyle Bossman and Daniel Bloodworth and Brandon Jones and all those guys, they've been sticking together as a team, talking about looking at what they can do and what they can't do, and they posted a picture on NeoGAF saying March 21st, you will hear from us. They've been posting pictures of them as a group kind of meeting together, and I, for one, am very excited to see what they have to say, and I really hope they kind of stick around as a group because I believe in that team, and I love the content that they provided. So I'm very excited to see what happens at Game Trailers, and if you are too, stick to PSVG. We'll definitely post, retweet, but if you want to follow it yourself, definitely look to Twitter, follow all those guys, and support them. Because we're kind of doing the same thing. We're not asking you to support us because we're not that big, but definitely, we are all kind of in this together because we all love doing this. So I followed those guys, like I said, for at least a decade. So I wish them the best, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for us.
Shh, you're not supposed to tell people we're not that big.
Well, we're new.
I'm actually very big.
That's what she said.
Nice.
Hey-o.
And there went those women listeners we've had.
Just kidding, all you tens of thousands of people who download our podcast weekly.
That's
we
true.
love you.
That's true.
All right, Nathan, you got anything else on the news front?
You know, nothing like specific on news, but I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on something. We've known in the past couple of weeks, maybe a month even, that there have been a lot of big people pulling out of E3. And, you know, Disney is pulling out of E3 as far as the show floor experience goes. And EA, I believe, is pulling out of E3. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have a reduced presence, so I don't think they're doing a main stage, but they'll still have some booth presence.
They're not doing a conference, though. So I mean,
right, exactly. Yeah, no main stage.
Yeah, so you have a lot of people now that are starting to kind of pull back. Nintendo pretty much was probably the first one, right, that just kind of said, well, we're going to take back... They did the Directs anyway. They didn't do a keynote live. They did the Direct instead. They still had a presence at E3, though, right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
They've been doing booths all along where people can get hands-on, but they're no main stage, big press conference live.
That's correct.
Okay. So what do you guys think that this is indicating for that trade show in general? Do you think it's going because of internet and the accessibility that offers and the direct to the consumer that they're thinking we don't need to go to this specific trade show anymore because it's just everything goes online anyway? What do you guys think?
I'm with the mindset that all of these publishers, all these groups are figuring out, why do we need to pay you an absorbent amount of money to talk about our game? And that's what E3 became. It became about people paying just exuberant amount of money, like large chunks, to get a booth and to go get this headline time to talk to all these people, when you can do the exact same thing now on Twitch on your own, when you can do the exact same thing now on your YouTube channel or on your website, and you're still sharing to the masses this great information that you have. Now, I think what the big thing is, they're going to go sell E3. Like, if you don't stop charging us an arm and a leg to come to your convention, there are other conventions that we can go to. We can start our own. We can do what the PlayStation event that our mutual friend went to. Shout out to Dan.
Yay, PlayStation Experience, right?
PlayStation Experience. That's something they did on their own, and we're able to have this great public presence. So for me, what I'm seeing is that these guys are wising up and saying, we don't need to pay a middleman anymore to help get news out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. E3 needs to control their costs. It makes no sense that something like this shouldn't cost that much to operate with the amount of publishers and developers and everything that's in there contributing. I think I don't want it to go away, and there's a couple reasons why. The biggest one is that for gamers, it's the time of year we get excited. It's the time of year that stuff will be unveiled, and it's fun to get excited about it. It's our Christmas, if you will. Nintendo can do directs. They can do one a month if they decide to keep doing this pace they're going on. But not everyone is going to bring the punches, and it's not always going to hold up that well. Whereas I think E3 gets you to watch, and you'll sit there, and if Xbox does a 2-hour press conference, you'll watch 30 to 45 minutes of stuff you probably or may not even care about, but they got you to watch it because you're looking for the big stuff. If they constantly blitz us with monthly ones, like I know Disney's getting ready to do, they've done one already, Nintendo does them pretty frequently, people are just going to get jaded, and not everybody catches those, whereas E3 gets the attention of the mass media as well. So magazines and newspapers and bloggers come around, and they give tons of press and awareness to the cause, if you will. But if it's done monthly, they're not going to get that same level of attention, I don't think, personally. So I don't want it to go away, but I can totally understand why the developers are coming by saying this shouldn't cost us a ton of money to do something that people want to get excited for. I think personally what they need to do is open it up to the public, charge tickets, charge admission, let the floodgates open, still have press passes and stuff like that for those who want to be there, and let the industry kind of dictate where this goes as opposed to a couple people, quote-unquote, running this convention, if you will. Donnie, what do you think?
Well, the last point you made is exactly what's going to happen. There's already buzz about it that they're going to open it up for the public, which is new for E3. For those of you that don't know, E3 is not a public show. You cannot just buy a ticket to go to E3. You have to be a part of the gaming press or an affiliate of a vendor or a publisher or a video game maker to be there. It was, in its beginnings, it was a trade show. As you've all already linked to, it's not a trade show anymore. It's a hype show. It's a marketing event. E3 is not going anywhere, Kevin, because E3 is the one time per year, the only time. It doesn't matter how much Ubisoft or Nintendo runs a Nintendo Direct. E3 is the one time that Time Magazine sends somebody to cover video games, that ABC News gets somebody to go on TV and talk about what's coming this year in video games, that NBC does it, and New York Times. They don't care about video games outside of E3 week. That's the week. That's the time that they go and say, hey, so-and-so's got this cool new controller, so-and-so's got this awesome Call of Duty game, Titanfall's amazing, this Wii U thing is weird. I mean, that's where you get these big headlines, and then they don't care about video games for the rest of the year. They just don't. Nintendo can drop a Direct in February, and Ubisoft can say anything that they want in May. It doesn't matter. If it's not at E3, it doesn't matter. So what I think we will see is E3 turn to a consumer show. I think they will open it up to the public, and you're not going to see the major developers or the major hardware distributors go away. You're going to see them turn into a marketing event. They're going to be there to please their fans. They're going to do a trade show. I think the Activision thing or the EA thing is interesting because I think EA, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. I've watched E3 for 10 years, and I've always felt like that EA didn't fit. No. They always have one game per year that's different, right? They have a new IP that gets your interest. But that's in a 1.5 hour show of them showing you Madden and NBA or anything else, the same stuff, FIFA. They always have FIFA and Pele, and it's just like, come on, guys, we saw it last year. That's not a trade show worthy, that's not if you're doing a conference and you're trying to, dwell up excitement, they're not going to do it. Now, I love these games. I'm with Coach Mo. I'm a sports gamer. NCAA is the reason why I have consoles. I buy Madden every year. NBA 2K16, one of the best games to come out on next gen. Period.
Preach.
Yeah, so I'm all about sports games. But that said, if you're sitting down to watch a 1.5 hour conference, you don't want to see a very similar game, a very similar lineup to the thing you saw last year. So
you don't want to see it.
I'll say you need to be told all about the roster changes.
Exactly. Yes. EA, I think, just never fit. So I don't think we should go, well, EA's out, well, Sony's next. I don't think that's a good comparison. I think Ubisoft will be there. I think Bethesda has found a place and a home, and if they continue to keep cranking out content like they have, they're just going to continue to be there. Whether folks go to the direct approach, that industry leader Nintendo thing that they did, I think that's the best thing that you can do. When you pre-record and you have the ability to edit and do all that, you have the ability to control the message. And people can say what they want about being on stage when The Last Guardian was showed and everybody got excited, blah, 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 blah. The same thing can be said on the other hand when the Wii U was shown and people came away saying, we didn't know what it was. Well, if Nintendo had taken a minute to reorganize and say, all right, let's do this our way and show them in a way, maybe the Wii U would have turned out differently. So there are pros and cons to both doing a live stage show as well as anything that's pre-recorded. What I really think we could see E3 turn into is a consumer show where these personalities and these outlets, the game trailers, the IGNs, the Colin and Greg's, where they interface with the games that you want to see that are coming out the next year, the next 2 years, and they bring that news to you. The publishers are still there. Maybe they do a keynote, maybe they don't. Maybe they do a direct, maybe they just do a press release. However they want to deliver their message is up to them. But that event, the importance of that event, the importance of that time and that focus in the middle of summer where there's nothing going on but baseball, that I don't see going away anytime soon. I mean, that really drives the market. I think every year for the last 4 or 5 years, I've always done my customary place your bets thread in a forum where you watched all the E3 conferences, and I now want to know how you spend your money. And I look forward to doing it again this year. And without E3, we don't have that. So doing it year over year, I mean, make no bones about it. These video games, Call of Duty, Madden, they make their money in November. They don't make their money in April. Everything is driven around Christmas. That's when we buy video games. So having the E3 trade show in the summer and giving consumers access to seeing all of this content from various outlets and being able to decide where it is that they're going to spend their money in the next 6 months, I think is very important to the entire industry. And if that show goes away, I'd be worried if I was somebody that made video games.
For the sake of time, let's do one last news article. So, Donnie, why don't you give us one?
The PS4 store, or the PlayStation store, I don't know if it's just PS4. I think it is. I would safe to say that it's getting redesigned. A Twitter user by the name of @Notewise was scrolling through the store today, and he found that store pages looked differently. All of a sudden, a game had more than one page. All of a sudden, trailers played in the background. So it looks like, we already covered that the OS is getting an update, and we're getting remote play and new multiplayer features. At no point was it mentioned that the store was being overhauled. And if you haven't seen it yet, we retweeted it for our account. You can find it on our Twitter account. This looks like an overhaul, at least in style and format. So I don't think it's a part of the next update. Notewise did tweet photos to Sony and Shuhei for official confirmation. They did not reply, as you would think they would not. But it looks like the Sony store, at least on PS4, will be overhauled soon. And I'm a sucker for OS changes, so I thought that was newsworthy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the PlayStation 4 OS overall is a lot better than what we had on the PS3, which I didn't mind the PS3 one either. However, I have not been a huge fan of the PlayStation Store format. It seems a little bit difficult to find sometimes what you're looking for, and they almost seemed more focused on their ads and pushing like, hey, you can buy this movie now, which is like, I'm on my PlayStation, man. I want to play games. I don't care about downloading a movie, so let's not make that first and foremost. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on. I hadn't noticed that.
You don't love Powers?
I love the idea.
It's based on a true story. So
I watched the first episode of that, and I just have no real desire to go back.
I didn't watch it because it was so invasive.
Yeah, I mean, as big of a superhero nerd I am, I couldn't even get into that. So that's saying something right there. And I mean, I watched Supergirl, so that's for another podcast.
also based on a true story.
All right, so let's jump in and answer a couple questions in the mailbag. As always, we want to thank you guys for sending in questions. We did get a bunch in via Twitter this past week due to the contest we had up there. For those of you who follow us, we gave away a Bravely Second Early Access demo code. So thank you to everyone who participated into that. You gave us a nice little backlog of questions that we'll be able to dip into for quite some time. So let's pick one here that's going to get Donnie all fired up, because we all love it when Donnie gets fired up. So Eric tweets in, when it comes to the hardcore gamer, Nintendo has not done a good job giving us anything. What do you think they lack? And I'll throw it to Donnie first, because I'm sure he's foaming at the mouth right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree. But just to go along with your premise, one thing that I've brought up in the past that I think is true today when it comes to Nintendo's relationship in the market is I think a lot of gamers that are 30 feel like Nintendo doesn't sell to them, and I think they're right. I think a lot of gamers that grew up with Nintendo go, why aren't I getting all these PlayStation games on Nintendo? Because Nintendo doesn't make PlayStation games. You're not going to get The Last of Us from a first-party Nintendo studio. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And if they go out of business because of that, then that's on them. It's still not going to happen. That's not going to change their motive. They're not going to create Call of Duties, and they're not going to create modern, horrific, post-pandemic games, in my opinion. They create games for families. They create games for everyone. They create games for kids of all ages, not just a 28-year-old who grew up with games and played games for 10 years and thinks Mario is boring because he's already played it before and now he wants to go kill people and run around and crash cars or something like that. I think a lot of us forget that. And I understand. I'm an adult. I grew up and I've moved on and I don't watch cartoons anymore and now I watch, House of Cards. I get it. You grew up and you mature. That doesn't mean that everything that you grew up with has to mature with you. So Eric's a friend of mine. I don't mean to direct this directly at Eric's question. I just bring that up as a premise. I think a lot of us feel like Nintendo's not giving us what they want. And I think I would ask a lot of people is, Nintendo gave you what you wanted when you were 14, and why is that changed now? Because they're giving that same 14-year-old the same thing. Shuhei and Phil Spencer, everybody across gaming constantly looks to Nintendo and says they are the ones that bring gamers to this market. Everybody wants a healthy Nintendo is healthy for gaming, period. Whether you want to buy their hardware or not, doesn't matter. Nintendo brings people to gaming. Nintendo gets girls playing gaming, gets kids playing gaming, toddlers, old people. They expand the marketplace. The reason why the PlayStation 4 is selling gangbusters right now is because most of their base grew up playing Nintendo games at some point in time. I would bet on it. So I just think it's different. I think it's hard to judge it if you're looking for a different experience and you're holding Nintendo accountable for not giving that to you. That said, I do think a lot of Nintendo's games are repetitive, and that's why I was really excited to see Splatoon. It was new, it was fresh, it had something that nobody else has done before, and even though I wouldn't agree with that if you said, Mario is the same old Mario. No Mario is the same Mario, but there are people that look at things and judge a book by its cover. And if you don't play them all and you don't understand the intricacies of each one, I can understand how you think every Zelda's the same, every Mario's the same because it's the same franchise. But Nintendo does a really good job of varying those franchises up from time to time. I think the hardware thing is a big problem with Nintendo. They used to lead the industry with hardware, and now they don't. Now they kind of do different things with the Wii and now the Wii U. I'm hopeful that the NX bridges that gap at least somewhat. But that said, I don't play Nintendo hardware because I want to play Call of Duty, and I don't buy Nintendo hardware because it's the greatest piece of tech ever made. I play Nintendo hardware because it gives me an experience that I can't find elsewhere, and I get to play franchises that simply aren't available elsewhere. And if the trend continues and they keep selling to 10 million people, maybe they go out of business. And if that happens, then that's just a reality of the market. But I would warn everybody, if you're one of those folks well, Nintendo needs to go third party or go away. Nintendo going away from gaming is not good for anybody. Period. Whether you want to give them their money or not, that's bad for everybody.
Yeah, Eric. So take that. I have a similar stance, but I'm going to take a little twist to it. So, couple points. Hardcore gamer. I am sick of this term because, number one, nobody ever defines it. When they're like, hardcore gamer. Well, does that mean that you only play these, Call of Duties and your Maddens and your, Grand Theft Autos and stuff like that? Or in my mind, when I think of a hardcore gamer, I think it's somebody that's had the habit. They're not leaving the habit. They've continued to play video games. They play them whenever they can. In my mind, that is more of what a hardcore gamer is. So I challenge the definition of that, period. But let's say I know what you mean by your question, so I'm not going to argue with your point there. When you say Nintendo doesn't give you what you're looking for because it's not mature enough or it's not giving you those experiences you look towards your PlayStation 4, your Xbox One for, do you then sit there and say in the same terms that, let's say, Disney movies are not good? I challenge anybody who's seen let's say like Inside Out, to say that that wasn't a phenomenal movie. So yeah, it's a cartoon. It's aimed towards kids, but I mean, literally everybody I know that has seen it absolutely loved this movie. I think Nintendo gives the same type of experience with their games as what Disney does with their movies and their parks and their whole experience. And I think that's what people need to look at. If you want to go see a horror movie, then yeah, you're not going to go see a Disney flick. That's not there. But it's not to say that Disney isn't in that same market, that Nintendo isn't in that same market. I think if you're a gamer, you should have a Wii U, or you should have a 3DS, regardless of your taste, because there's stuff offered there that you will not get in that experience anywhere else. And that's where Nintendo's niche market is, if you will. I have a PlayStation 4. I play all my quote-unquote hardcore games on my PlayStation 4, and I love it. And people have their Xbox Ones, and they play those games on their Xbox Ones. But you can't play something lighthearted like a Pikmin, or like Mario or Splatoon. I know tons of people who are shooter fans that absolutely said Splatoon was amazing, and it's clearly a quote-unquote kiddie game. It's not a hardcore game, but I know tons of hardcore gamers that loved it. So I think Nintendo does exactly what they should do. I know the industry is like, well, your tech specs aren't up to code and you can't compete with the Xbox One, this and that. I don't think necessarily they want to. That's not where they're going to win. So all these franchises talking about, oh, it's rumored that so-and-so is coming to the NX and that this franchise is coming to the NX and that franchise is coming to the NX. I don't really care. You can already play it on PS4. You can already play it on an Xbox One. If you're a fan of Nintendo games, you're going to get a Nintendo console, and odds are most of the games you're going to play on it are exclusive to Nintendo. It is what it is, and I don't think that's going to change, nor do I want to change. I want them to stay. They're unique, family-friendly, and more importantly, just give you a different experience you cannot get on those other consoles. Mo, what do you think?
For me, it's where Nintendo misses out on me. The last Wii U Madden game was Madden 13. Which was a very good Madden game, but wasn't a great Madden game. And when I think of the term hardcore gamer, I think of somebody who plays a game for a lot of hours. I mean, was super, and I also add a competitive aspect in my head. Mm-hmm. So I would consider Nate a hardcore Madden player because he put in over 100 hours of playing Madden. And so for me, where Nintendo misses out on me is because they don't have the sports games that I play. Now, I love Mario Golf. I am a Mario Golf fanatic. I play my 3DS in between classes at school. I'll jump on and get, a couple rounds in, have a blast on there. I love Mario Kart because I love racing games. But my Wii U's sole purpose is to have something that when I have friends come over who have never experienced gaming, and especially it's my teacher friends, I want to have something that anybody can pick up and play, as you guys already alluded to. If I hand somebody my Xbox One Elite controller, they're going to stare at me and go, what are these paddles for? I don't understand what's going on here. But if I hand somebody my Wii remote and say, hey, we're going to play a bowling game, there's nobody who can't play it. And that's why I keep a Wii U. That's why I have one in the house, is because when I have friends who are teachers who are gamers, there's a horrible stigmatism on them. I can't tell you the comments other teachers make towards me because I am a gamer. Oh, you're just a little kid. Oh, you're not mature. And I'm like, lady, I have a master's degree. I'm an athletic director. I coach every sport in the sun. The reason I play these games is because our kids are playing them. And I want to know and help them and be able to invest in every one of them. I don't ever want a kid to be like, well, nobody understood me. And when you can see the games they're playing, you get to dive into the world that they want to be a part of. And you can find out ways to communicate. I bought Pokemon Yellow for one student, and I played probably 40 minutes of it so far. And me and Pikachu were out there just wrecking little pigeon things. But I told my student this, and he goes, well, you have to go to a Pokeball coach. I'm like, where do I go to get a Pokeball? And I brought my 3DS to school, and he showed me, and he was laughing, something he doesn't do in any other class. And that's why I play. And so when I'm talking Nintendo misses stuff, yeah, they're going to miss you in some shooters, but they have games you're going to play for hundreds of hours, and you're going to get enjoyment out of them. So, like, for me, as someone who's not a Nintendo exclusive person, I don't think they are. They're hitting their audience on the head. They're getting what they want out, and that's what I enjoy about them. So that's my response.
There you go. Nathan, how about you?
First off, I just want to say, Mo, that if a fellow educator is dismissive of a hobby that you are trying to use to get closer to your kids, they are detached, and that is a problem with the education system. That being said, what was this question again?
When it comes to the hardcore gamer, Nintendo hasn't done a good job of giving us something. What do you think they lack?
So, I mean, you guys have said it, right? Nintendo's not in the business of... You have a PC, an Xbox, or a PlayStation 4 that can give you the other experiences. Nintendo's not... They're not doing that. They're doing their own thing, and their own thing works. What can they give the hardcore player base, I guess, is the question, right? So, in my opinion, Star Fox. Hit it on the head. Give me a good Star Fox game. That's what they can give me. That's what I want. And anything else that they want to do, like Splatoon, like you said, is very much a experimental game that they took a risk on, and it's paid off from what I understand. I haven't played it, but it's paid off. They have one of the best fighting games ever in Smash Brothers, and that series is immense. It's massive. There's so many characters to choose from, and it's a legit fighting game. Like, there is tactics and timing and precision that's required that I would put it up against Street Fighter, any other fighting game, as this is a good fighting game, right? Mm-hmm. So, and as far as mature games go, yeah, there's not a ton, but they did Bayonetta last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that was highly regarded by a lot of people who really, really enjoyed it. And that was a Wii U exclusive, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, absolutely.
So they know that their market share for the mature quote unquote audience is not that of the Xbox or the PlayStation. And they know that. Their market share is for the younger generation, for the people who want the family console. And that's what they're giving their consumer base. And for them to try to do something that doesn't hit that consumer base, and really honestly only services maybe 10% of the people that own their consoles, doesn't make any sense for them. They're doing the right thing.
I agree. Cool. All right, let's do a pretty quick one here for the sake of time. So Gabriella wrote in and she says, if you could bring back any gaming franchise for a reboot, what game would it be?
Ooh, me first.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Def Jam, Fight for New York.
Are you serious?
Yes, I want Eminem in there, and I want to be in Detroit. I want all of my favorite rappers in there, just going to town. I would love it if they allowed the female protagonist to be an actual main protagonist instead of you decide to marry Carmen Electra or date Carmen Electra because she beat up whoever, blonde girl number 2. I would love to see that franchise the way it was in Def Jam Fight for New York. Not the crap they did with Icon, but the actual where it was a fun fighting game with an awesome story. It was Saints Row before Saints Row happened. And you were trying to build up this rival gang, and you won ground by smashing people and beating them up and throwing them around. I absolutely love that game. It is the only reason I still have my Wii. Literally, I have my Wii. The only Wii game that I have is not even a Wii game. It's for the GameCube. GameCube, and it's Def Jam, Fight for New York.
This is the saddest part of this whole thing that Mo just went through is I played the first one, and I actually really enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
So it was very weird, but there was something extremely satisfying with the way it was presented. It was a lot of fun, and I think your comparison to Saints Row before Saints Row is very spot on. It was clearly tongue-in-cheek, the first one at least, before they started doing the newer stuff, so that's funny. For me, though, I would say what I want to see... I have 2 answers, so I'm going to cheat here. The first one is kind of funny, and you'll only know if you're an old-school gamer, is Bubble Bobble. I would totally love for them to reimagine that and kind of upgrade it, but the serious answer is if you had it on GameCube, you're a lucky person. I would love to see what this developer would do with current hardware with the same premise as Eternal Darkness. That game was the first game pretty much to come out and kind of screw with you as the gamer. It would make you think the game was failing, make you think there was a fly on the screen, little things like that, and then an eerie atmosphere and story to go with it. I'd love to see them bring that back because that game was awesome. and they never followed it up with anything. So I'd love to see a reboot of that on current gen stuff. To be honest, even though it was a GameCube game, I would rather see it on like a PS4 for more realistic graphics than like a Wii U. But I still would love to see it either way. So Nathan, go for it.
Can I say like 4 just real quickly?
Yeah, rapid fire.
Okay. They're all Star Wars games pretty much. So the Jedi Knight series, I would love to see another entry in the Jedi Knight series because that's just so good, and with the current hardware, it'd be amazing. The Knights of the Old Republic series, give me a proper Knights of the Old Republic 3. Just give it to me now, take all my money, give it to me.
Agreed.
And I forgot what the other one was, but it's a Star Wars game too. Oh, The Force Unleashed. They have a cliffhanger on the second one that really needs to be resolved, and I don't care if it's canon or not. It was a fun game. What?
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
I'm not going to tell you
like
what
8 years old.
I'm not going to tell you what the spoiler of the cliffhanger was, but it needs to be resolved. And I would love to see another, because that game was so much fun because it was just, you were crazy powerful, and that's what you always really wanted in the game and as a Jedi, right? Just wreck stuff. And they did a really good job making that game, and I think that it looked great for the time. And actually, I went back and played it recently on my PC after I got my new graphics card, and it still holds up, still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would love to see another entry into that series. But anyway, there we go.
That'd be a lot of fun. I had fun with those games. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but yeah, the Force Awakens was a lot of fun.
Can I make one up real quick that I just thought of?
Make one up? Make up a game you want to reboot?
Well, not really, but here's my idea. So we're gonna reboot Bomberman, okay? But it's a modern day grizzled man who works for the bomb disposal company.
It's like Acme, like Wile E. Coyote.
Yes, there you go. And so
It could be a Telltale game, like Fables.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Let's do it. So it's a
Do you choose to cut the red wire or the blue wire?
You have to decide it, and then the other bomber guy's gonna remember your decision, and then I don't know. I got nothing. I just wanted to try to do something.
Bomberman Hurt Locker Edition. All
Telltale
right, Donnie,
presents
what
the
would
Power
you
Man
rise
Saga.
from the grave?
Hurt Locker.
I mean, I'm instantly thinking of a Telltale game where instead of the Wolf Among Us, you have Wile E. Coyote in this like grisly, mature world with the Roadrunner and Bugs Bunny. That sounds really good, doesn't it? Like, that sounds amazing. I would buy that game. I really would.
I would not. Childhood would be flipped upside down.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you had
Right,
to duck in the
exactly.
bar. That works. I'm with you.
I've got 3, but one of them's basically piggyback off of Nathan. If you want to go down the Star Wars route, why we don't have a new Rogue Squadron is absolutely absurd.
Oh yeah, we need
For
that.
those that can't Star War, Star Fox. And I think a big reason why Star Fox is very popular is because it gives you that Star Wars flight battle mechanic that it's just lacking. And I don't understand why. Rogue Squadron sold well. Everybody played it. It was cross-platform. That's a great... And you talk about a game that holds up well 10 years later. Rogue Squadron 2 still looks great. If you've got an N64 and you can play that thing, or if you've got the GameCube version, what was it? Rogue Squadron Rogue One or Squadron Rogue One? That game is awesome. That's one of the best games on GameCube, and it looks great. So I would love a Rogue Squadron game. If they came out today or E3 and said, "Hey, we're making a Star Wars Rogue Squadron game, The Force Awakens," and it comes out November, I'd sign me up. I'd pre-order it.
Well, Star Wars Battlefront also used to have a single-player campaign, so keep dreaming.
Yeah. The 2 games that immediately come to mind, the first one was the first game that I ever played, not the first game I ever played, the first game that ever captivated me on PlayStation hardware, and that was Clock Tower. The original Clock Tower on PS1 was the original point-and-click adventure, at least for me. And I loved the crap out of that game. I'll never forget that game's story. It does not hold up well. I bought a PS1 to replay it a couple years back, and I was like, oh, this is awful. But in 1996, I think, when I played it, I had my whole family wrapped around. I'll never forget it. I was sitting there in the mansion at the end. Spoilers, yes, it's 1996. Get over it.
No.
And my entire family was giving me input. Don't do that. Go over here. The game was so tense. It was so in the moment. The whole horror story, different settings. I'll never forget going to the cabin in the woods. If you've never played it, at least YouTube it. That was a great game. They made a sequel. It was awful. So if you're going to bring back a franchise, at least keep it to the first one, kind of on your internal darkness. I think a lot of people really enjoyed that game. If you know anybody that really went deep into the PS1 library, I guarantee you Clock Tower, the original Clock Tower, was a big part of their fandom. The second one I will bring up, hands down, the one that would sell gangbusters right now if they made it, bring me a THQ-esque WWE game. Why in the world we went away from WWE No Mercy and WCW versus NWO Revenge and WCW versus NWO World Tour for the button-mashing, quick-time event crap that we're getting right now from WWE is beyond me. I don't understand it. People love those games. I still love those games. I still play those games. I have the ROMs on my PC so I can play those games. And I have WWE 2K15. I pre-ordered it, and I play it, and it's not as good. It's just not. For all the graphical and everything that they're doing, it's so good. It's the original game was a great entry-level game that anybody could pick up and play. It had great multiplayer, and that's what you want out of a dumb wrestling game. Give me all of these great characters that we've known for the last 50 years. I want Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Ric Flair and all the new folks like John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Put them all into a game that's easy to pick up and play, that's arcadey and open to everyone, that kids can play with their parents and parents can play against each other and all that jazz. I have never understood why the industry went away from those. I mean, obviously THQ closed, but the standard and the method and the approach is still there. I mean, anybody could replicate that. It's just a matter of obtaining the license and doing it. I really wish that the license holders today would just go, you know what, we got this arcade WWE game, and here you go. And they tried to do that with All-Stars, but even All-Stars had like 8 button commands to pull off moves. That's ridiculous. Just go back to basics. I really miss that series, and I would love to reboot that.
Well, there you go, boys and girls. That brings us to the end of the show for this week. So as always, please check us out at playsomevideogames.com. Check us out, facebook.com/playsomevideogames. You can follow us on Twitter @_PSVG. A couple plugs for our fellow teammates, if you will. Nathan's That's Entertaining podcast, new episode launched today featuring 10 Cloverfield Lane. Go download it. Jason's Fluxtapose is obviously always up and running, so definitely check that out as well. Thank you so much for listening to us babble on for about 2 hours a week about video games and other nonsense. We do appreciate it, so if you take a couple minutes and rate us on iTunes, that would help us spread the word to others that will also waste 2 hours a week listening to us babble for some reason. But hey, we love you all. So thanks again, boys and girls, and remember, as always, for everybody here at Play Some Video Games, never stop gaming. Bye.
I'm Batman.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.